another planning.
Start again.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to this week's education session. Because it is getting close to the end of the Australian financial year, it's prudent to start thinking about planning for next year. So this is part one in a series of three. Don't worry, we're not going to be hammering you with planning, but I find that people's planning process is not necessarily all it could be, and this should make it easy for you. So here we go. All right, but before we begin, just a little bit of a reality check. Let's try that again.
Don't forget, I don't edit these, mate.
No, I know. It's all right. It's all PG.
We got no sound.
Okay, that's all right. You don't really need it.
I'm intrigued.
What you just saw was a very old Xbox ad, but the message is right. Life is short. You should play more. My favorite quote, or one of my favorite quotes, is this one from John Lennon that says, "Life is what happens to you while you're making other plans." So planning is really important. The old saying is that, man plans, God laughs. But the thing is, if you don't have a plan in place, you tend to just drift along. So the export ad's good in the sense that too many of us get caught up in the day-to-day minutiae of running a business, and we forget to have some time for ourselves. So up front today, this is what we're going to be looking at, is things we're planning and why it's important to you. Again, for those of you who don't know me, this is who I am. This is some of the qualifications I've got, not all of them, but essentially 30 plus years as a C-suite executive in Southeast Asia and here in Australia across 12 different industries. Before that, a lecturer in business at university. Before that, a high school teacher. And I've been running my own business coaching / consultancy for 12 years. And I've helped about 170 odd businesses to date, all of which is said just to let you know you're in pretty good hands. This is a little bit different because the stuff I'll be talking to you about today is not theory, it's not esoteric. It's literally stuff, if you take notes, you can start using the moment we finish here today. That's what we do. So time's short, so let's get going. It may feel a little bit like you're trying to drink from a fire hose, but don't forget, these are all recorded and they're put up onto the website. The elephant in the room is really quite simply this. Planning isn't easy, therefore a lot of people try to avoid it, or they think financial year planning is all about budgets and numbers. That's not the case. Planning is really about getting your ducks in a row so you can move from this to this, from chaos to control. And when you start planning, or the beginning of planning, is you need to think about a couple of things, like what is it you actually want? So for the next financial year, what do you want? And of course, the other side of that is, what do you actually need? Because the things that we want aren't always the things we need, but it's important that we try and consider both sides of that particular coin. In fact, I believe that we should all sit down and start our planning process by going, what's important to me in the next financial year? Is it money? Is it upgrading my lifestyle? Is it more family time? Is it just a by the beach lifestyle? Freedom from my desk? Having more fun, learning stuff that helps me with my personal growth, maybe spending some more time with friends, maybe feeding my head, maybe it's experiencing the romance of travel, having some real adventures, finally buying that luxury car, gaining some new skills, seeing more of the world around me, having some new experiences, maybe having impact with my clients or in my community, maybe leaving a legacy for the people behind me. Maybe it's all of these things. Or maybe none of these things are actually important to you in the next financial year. The key thing is the choice is yours. You need to decide what the next financial year is important to you. And it won't be just one thing, but it's all about choices. It's about personal business choices. But remember this, Money is nothing more than a means of giving you the ability to enact some of your choices. Money equals choice. So it's important you get that sorted first. But where do you spend the money and how you decide what is it you need? Well, you need to ask yourself this one simple question. How much is enough? Jay, I'll tell you, I work through this with all my clients several times a year, but how much is enough? And we look at a number of areas. It might be money or date nights or holidays or travels or number of cars or houses or golf or whatever it is. But you need to answer for yourself, how much is enough? A simple form like this is something you can draw up. How much money is enough? How much time do you want? How much impact do you want to have? How many vacations do you want to have? And key question, how will you know you've got enough? But unless you start your planning from this viewpoint of what's important to me, what do I want, and how much is enough of the things I want, then life's going to be a bit tough to sort things out with. You should take a look backwards over the previous financial year, or even just the last 6 months, and do a GBU. GBU stands for good, bad, and ugly. So what was good in the last financial year or the last 6 months? You need to understand that. They're the things you want more of. What was bad? In other words, what lessons did you learn? What things can you do better? What things maybe you need to revisit and try again, but maybe from a slightly point of view? And then, of course, what was downright ugly? What things happened or did you do in the last financial year, personally and in your business, that you just don't want to do again? You don't want to see ever again. Now, you can use a form like this where you can write down the areas of your life and your business. You can write out the outcome. Was it good, bad, or ugly? And then what action will you take? So if it's an ugly thing, you don't want to repeat it, so you stop doing it. If it's a bad thing, you might have to revisit it and figure out how to tweak it so it becomes a good thing. And the good thing, you want to figure out, how can I do more of that? You can do a simple form just like this. What went well, what didn't go so well, and what things do I need to stop doing? Again, it's up to you to decide what things you want to consider with that. But here's a key question for you, especially in business. How's the rest of 2025 looking for you? Are you on target? Are you a little bit behind? Are you a lot behind? Now, maybe you didn't have a target, in which case, bad person. You should at least have a financial target for the year. But now's the perfect time of year to be thinking about how much money, how much revenue, how much profit is my business on track to make in 2025? Forget about financial year, because it's May now, a couple of days it's June. That means you've got essentially 6 months to recoup any losses or to build your business. And if you're not aware of where you are at the moment, you need to look at it. All of which means you probably need to do an in-depth review of your business. Jay will recognise this form because I get him to do it a couple of times a year. It's one of the it's one of the detangling your business things that we do. But I mean, you need to look back on things and find out what were you proud of and what was your biggest win, and did you add or subtract staff or customers, and did you feel like a business owner, or maybe you just felt like an employee with a job. It's important that you revisit these things. So, okay, so what? So you've done all this, you've looked at that sort of thing. There's really 3 options moving forward into next financial year and the rest of this calendar year. And the 3 options are quite simple. Imagine where you want your business and yourself to be in the next 12 months. You can hold on and do nothing, in which case your business is probably going to go downhill. You can probably work harder and hope things are going to change by just keeping on doing the same things. Or you can identify new things to do and start taking some action to change things up. This is a question for each one of you. Do you want to be a cellar dweller and just hold on and hope someone comes to rescue you? Do you want to be a hoper that doing the same thing over and over is going to change things? Or do you actually want to start changing things up and taking action? Remember, if you don't act, things don't happen, and ACT is a nice acronym for action changes things. There's really no such thing as a terribly bad action. The worst action is inaction. This is where you don't do anything. So if you've decided that there are things you need to change in your business, then create a priority list. Revenue should be your number one, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But decide on the priorities, decide when you want to have action taken or action completed with it and where. And by where, I mean, is it online? Is it offline? Is it in person with people? Is it something you write? It's actually where you deliver it or have the actions undertaken. But understand this, revenue is the number one. Every person on this call, their business should be top line driven, which means it's all about revenue. Remember, money equals choice. The more money you have coming at the top line, the better chance you've got of making profit and living a better life. There are only 3 levers that you need to run a business. They're macro levers. There's a lot under each one. The first lever is revenue, because that gives you the fuel to run your business and look after your personal life. The second one is your capacity to deliver your product or service to customers in a way that makes them happy, makes them want to tell people about you, and makes them want to come back to do more business with you. And the third one, the third lever, is cost control. There's no sense making a lot of money if your costs are out of control and they chew up all your profit. So revenue, capacity to deliver, cost control. They're the 3 areas to look at your business from. But revenue is the number one, because without that top line humming along, nothing else happens. So you should consider this. What do I need to do to generate revenue? Right? How often do I need to do it? Who does it? And where do I do it? Is it online? Do I sell courses? Is it a mix of online and physical stuff like Connie with a book? Good read, by the way, Connie. I'm 2/3 of the way through it, along with all the other stuff I'm reading, but I'm enjoying it. But think about that. What things are you going to use to generate revenue? How often do you need to do them? Is it a weekly promotion, a monthly promotion, a half-yearly promotion? Are you running a course which only is running cohorts, which only takes people in every 3 months, etc.? But have a simple form like this to bring things around. The other way you can do things is there are actually 3 ways you can build your business forward. You can do it yourself, you can accelerate your business, or you can delegate. Myself is quite simple. That means you're going to do whatever needs changing. Accelerate is something that not many people think about, but accelerate is where you take some time out and you learn how to use AI properly. Now, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT 4.0, or whether it's Kling for videos or whatever it is, if you want to accelerate stuff that you do in your business, especially regular things, AI and understanding it's good. Now, please understand, AI should not replace what you do, it should enhance it. So if you think of it this way, all right, the prompt that you write for AI is the ingredients for a cake. AI then bakes the cake, but it's up to you to decorate it yourself. If you just give people a plain cake, it's not going to be very tasty, all right? So, and the last one is delegate. That means, who can I get rid of this stuff through? Most of you on this call have heard me talk about a to-don't list, where you list everything that you do, you pick out the things that you love doing, you pick out the things that only you can do, and everything else that's there, you try and delegate and get rid of it. Similar sort of thought here. Lots of you will have to-do lists and they will be huge, and you'll keep carrying the same items forward week after week after week. So one of the ways you get around this type of thing is you create a recurring task plan. What are the things that you do every day in your business? Every week or every fortnight, every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, or once a year? What are the regular things you do in your business? Then you look at those things and decide, is this something I should be doing in my business? Is it something I'm doing out of habit but no longer adds to my business? And most importantly, is this something I can delegate to someone else, a VA or whoever? Or is it something I can set up an automation in something like the BCW CRM where it will do it automatically for me so I don't have to worry about it? So set up a recurring task list and then ask yourself with each task, what can you do to get it off your plate? You need to draw a line in the sand, right? Times are tough. We've got to change a government. Well, we haven't had to change a government. We've had an election. Hopefully business is back and they're not holding their breath and all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, the things I'm talking about now is a lot of people view planning as just too hard. And if it's too hard, you need to understand this. Time's going to pass anyway. So if you're just going to drift along and let the world knock you around and do whatever it does, or you're going to be proactive and decide that you're not going to be a cellar dweller, you're actually going to take action, then now's the time to draw that line in the sand. Here's a question for you to consider. What will you do in the next financial year that's not the same as what you've done in the last financial year? If you're thinking on just repeating everything, unless you've had an outstandingly successful financial year, that means there's a problem. There's a saying that says, in stillness lies death. All right. Fortune, opportunity, and success love movement. If you're going to stay still, it's probably not a good thing for you and your business. The other thing to factor in is this. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Mark Twain wrote that however many years ago. Bottom line is, we need to get out there and do things. Remember, you're the director of the movie of your life. The action that happens is pretty much your responsibility. So I'm asking you to make a commitment to planning, but doing this pre-planning and not just looking at it in terms of just numbers. If you want to make sense of it all the things I've spoken about today, you should take action. And the actions are quite simple. Decide what you want for the next financial year, review the existing financial year, figure out how much is enough across all those different areas, do a GBU review of last year, do an in-depth business review, decide the priorities you need to achieve the goals you want to, decide how you're going to improve and where you're going to generate your revenue, figure out what you have to do yourself and what you can delegate, and maybe what you can accelerate with AI, and create a recurring task list. Next week, I'm going to scare you all because I'm going to talk about all the different types of plans you're supposed to have to run a business. But don't worry, we're not going to be doing them, nor is the expectation to do all of them. We'll cut through all the BS that you hear from so many coaches and consultants about business planning. Understand the normal business plan is something you do to try and get money from a bank. It's not anything you need to run your business, but we'll sort through and show you how to set up a proper plan that accounts for your personal and your business wants next time. If you'd like a hand with any of this beforehand or all that sort of stuff, take a snapshot of that or grab hold of my calendar link, which is in the chat already. If you want to get copies of those forms, that's really simple. Book a call with me, all right? And let's have a chat. It won't be a sales call. I'll just see if I can help you. Some of you on here have already had chats with me and know that it's not hardcore sales. Yes, I hope I impress you enough you want to work with me, but that's not the idea behind the call. So let's have that chat. There's the thing. The link, as I say, is in the chat. And that's the end of it today. Any questions?